Being creative and coming up with new ideas sometimes can feel like trying to catch the snitch from Harry Potter. No! This golden idea will transform your video or your writing or win you a Quidditch match, but it's just barely out of your reach, constantly evading you. So how do you capture it? Ask any writer about how they come up with ideas for their stories and they'll probably tell you that they don't really know, which unfortunately is not really helpful advice for those of us aspiring to be more creative. I always have this nagging feeling that I will eventually run out of ideas to make videos about. Every idea that I have for this YouTube channel, I put on my iPhone in like a big list of notes. I'm nearing the end of my list, and this has recently made me think a lot more about my process for coming up with more ideas. So, in an attempt to be very meta, here are some ideas that have helped me be more creative. During my gap year, I managed to write a lot. I started my own blog, which is now dead, unfortunately, and I also wrote like the first draft to a novel, which was over 100,000 words long, which was undoubtedly a horrible novel, but I still did it. It was probably the most creative time period of my entire life. Like, I don't think I've ever written nearly that much, and I did it by showing up every day. Every morning I woke up, I flipped on my hot water heater, and I poured myself a cup of tea in my custom-made coffee mug that read, "You have the right to work, but never to the fruit of work," from the Bhagavad Gita. And then I would take my cup of tea and I would sit down at my keyboard and just type away. Creativity is a lot like sleep. You can never force yourself to be creative and come up with new ideas in the same way that you can't really force yourself to go to sleep. But there are still things you can do that will help improve the quality of your sleep and even help you fall asleep faster. In the same way, showing up every day and trying only to focus on doing your best, to write something no matter how bad, to draw a few sketches no matter how much they look like scribbles, to play a few musical notes no matter how discordant they sound, will help you prepare for when those creative moments do strike. And it will make them strike more often. Focus solely on doing the work, because honestly, at the end of the day, you can't control whether or not people like your work, or even if your work is good. The only thing that you can control is whether or not you showed up and tried your best. I think a lot of creativity ultimately boils down to just making connections between two things that already exist, or just spinning something that already exists in its own unique way. I don't know how often we come up with completely new and completely original ideas. I watch a bunch of YouTube video essays online, normally about anime, and these are normally made by looking very specifically and paying a lot of attention to a work and drawing on the different elements of the work, or even the elements in your own life, to bring out a new meaning or interpretation of the work that you're focusing on. A lot of fiction is also based on the connections between different ideas. Brandon Sanderson said when he was trying to come up with Mistborn, he was trying to write a story about a world where the Dark Lord had triumphed and the prophesized hero had failed. It's a story that's based off of known archetypes and conventions of stories that already exist. They're just tweaked and executed in their own different ways. Also, you have an entire life's worth of experiences to draw from. It is insane how many different and unique things happen in your life. Within the next couple months, I'm going to be finishing my first year of college. I'm going to be turning 20, and I'm going to be going on a cross-country road trip. Like, if that is not the perfect fodder for creativity, I don't know what is. There's nothing more interesting to me than life and how different people experience it. Be more interested in the people that you talk to. Go to coffee shops and just people watch, and pay more attention to the things that you do in your own life. There is so much inspiration in the world. You just need to pay attention to it. Being bored is known to increase creativity. Our minds are constantly occupied at all times. Whether it's doing homework or watching anime or even reading a book in bed, our mind is constantly on something. But carving out dead time where we allow our minds to wander will give you the space necessary to make some of these new connections or form these new ideas. Like, some of the most creative moments in my life are when I should be meditating or when I'm procrastinating working on homework. You'll be surprised what ends up popping up in your head when you make the space to let your mind wander. So yeah, I do get anxious whenever I am nearing the bottom of my list for YouTube videos. But I kind of just remind myself that I just need to show up every single day, coffee mug in hand, and pay more attention to the world. And occasionally I'll pack up my phone and my laptop and all of the distractions that normally bombard me, and I'll just sit and I'll let my mind wander.